From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris here with you on a Tuesday. We've got a good show on tap. I hope you'll call and join in the conversation if you like, because we're talking about something that affects us all at one time or another. It's either going to affect someone you know right now, or it's affecting you yourself, thinking about the future and the whole idea of having certain things, your legal affairs in place. Do you even have a will written at this point? Do you know whether or not your parents or loved ones have something like that in place? Estate planning. I'm not talking so much about investments, but the legal aspect of everything we have to deal with. That is in the realm, as all of us baby boomers age, of elder law, which is taken on, it's a niche legal profession in a way that has grown now and is so widely accepted, and we're very lucky that here in the Middle Tennessee area we have some of the foremost experts on this aspect of the law in the entire country. You know Tim Takis, and now you know his partner, Barbara McGinnis. Good morning.
Good morning,
Nice
Nick.
to have you. Now, the two of you, since you kind of merged forces, Takis McGinnis Elder Care Law, right?
Yes.
And the two of you, Tim's not here this morning, but I'm really glad to have you along. And of course, you guys do your own program here on the Plus now, which is awesome. Is it different being here with me? Be honest.
Well, it's always fun to be with you.
How about that? She knows just what to say. Well, it's good to have you on. Thanks for coming. And we'll open up the line 737-7587. But Barbara, just, you know, first, I always like, for especially when we get new viewers every single day, to let Tim or you kind of lay out for folks elder law. What types of things can you help folks with?
It's always a conversation stopper. You know, I go to dinner with friends and they say, now exactly what kind of law do you practice?
Right, they're thinking you're criminal law, you're in court, you're doing now.
And I say, no, I do elder law. That's all we do. And they stop because they're like, I don't even know what to ask about that. And so what is elder law? It actually does begin, it's a continuum of practice, that it does begin with estate planning, because everybody needs an estate plan.
Yeah. And an estate plan meaning what?
Well, powers of attorney.
Okay.
Healthcare powers of attorney, a will or a will substitute, some sort of way of passing on assets. Now, a trust is a will substitute, and a trust allows for management of assets during your lifetime, as well as a way of distributing assets that you're passing.
Sure.
But more than estate planning, our clients usually have a chronic illness. They are either become suddenly quite debilitated, or because of a virtue of a chronic illness have become debilitated over time. And so we're managing and the healthcare aspect, helping them navigate the healthcare system, which unfortunately can be quite fractured in today's world. The places that people receive care, how care gets paid for, those are usually someone's top 3 worries when they come to see us. How is my loved one going to be cared for? How is their care going to get paid for? And if there's a spouse at home, how can we do all this without breaking the bank so that there's not money left over for the community spouse? And then the third thing is, I want to do everything the right way. You know, I want to plan the right way. I don't want any trouble with the government if we're going to use government benefits. And most certainly, most elders are using some type of government benefit because they're using Medicare.
Yep.
And what are the rules about Medicare payment for care? If they're a veteran, is there a possibility of using veterans benefits? And if there's, if they're not a veteran, sometimes chronic care, long-term care in a facility is so expensive that folks are looking at a TennCare benefit. So how do I qualify for TennCare?
Right.
And
that covers a lot, and I know you do much more beyond that, and I'm glad you ended on that last note, because I'm thinking, and we see all what's happening in Washington, D.C. We don't know what's going to happen with the change in affordable care and all of this and health care, but I think there's still a common misconception out of many viewers out there who believe that as they age, Medicare will pay for their nursing home or assisted living facility. And it doesn't. It doesn't pay a red cent.
Medicare pays for a very, very small.
Now, Medicaid might, if you're, okay, Medicaid, which, by the way, under some of the proposals that are happening right now, as we tighten up, you take Medicaid away, you're going to have a bunch of old people that are in some of these facilities out. And what are they going to be, on the street corner in a paper box?
I don't think Medicaid will go completely away.
Oh, it won't go completely.
But I think we'll see some significant
reductions,
changes.
yes.
Especially this Senate bill that's being voted on this week. I think there'll be significant changes.
Yeah. I guess my point is that it's worth recognizing what those benefits provide for you and then knowing what you have to provide for yourself. And that's where you help people plan for it. Because right now I'm like, where are you and I? We're both still pretty young. And what are we going to do when we're 70 or 80 and we maybe do need a little help, and how are we going to pay for it? I've just been dealing with that with my folks. Tim may have mentioned it, and he's been a great help to me. I mean, fantastic advice and help through this. But just the cost is a lot.
And it's not always the 70 and 80-year-olds. I think the ones that trouble me, that become the most heart-wrenching, are the people that are in their 60s and they become suddenly, unexpectedly debilitated.
Okay, some health issue.
A stroke.
Or an accident, a
heart attack, or an accident.
Yeah, it could be.
There was a family within the last couple of weeks. This person was in their 70s, but was completely high-functioning, independent, just like you and I are. And there was a fall. And the fall created a cascade of events, and that person now is dependent in almost every way you can imagine. And that's over the course of a few months. Now, when you anticipate needing care by the time you're 70 or 80 years old, you have time. There's really no excuse not to have planned.
Okay.
You have time, right? But those sudden onset events that catch you off guard, when you think you still have time,
so,
which means we need to plan even earlier than what we think.
Right. And so I guess it's never too early to start planning, be it, and again, you're not a financial counselor, but you help manage that once that's there in terms of putting something away or saving for the future or something along those lines.
Right.
When should you have a will? How young should you be when you write a will?
Well, for a will, I think for powers of attorney is part of where I like to start, because I think those are very important to avoid conservatorship action.
You have someone with power of attorney for you?
Yes.
You do?
I do. Okay. My husband is named as my power of attorney.
You trust him?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
He's on the checking account anyway.
I guess that's all right.
But a lot of times people think that, and what I just said is actually something that causes people not to come in and create a document. They think, oh, he's on the checking account. He can have access to bills, to pay bills. Well, there's more to it than just that. So starting with powers of attorney, making sure that there's someone lined up in place to make decisions for you if you can't make decisions for yourself. Probably should happen after the age of majority. So after you're no longer a child under mom and dad's care, you should probably have powers of attorney in place. Now, because
I need to do that. I don't have that.
Because
now I'm for my folks. I have their power of attorney, but I don't have one. Yeah.
Because there is more than just paying bills, involved. There may be real estate transactions. There may be insurance, filing taxes, those sorts of things that people need that sort of power of attorney for. Certainly you need a will when you start having children.
Okay.
I'd say that's the beginning of that, because in the will document is where you can name your guardian, your successor guardian for your children, for your minor children.
Now, now if I don't have a will and I die without the will, it doesn't just go to my wife?
Do you have children?
Yeah. And he's 17.
Okay, so there would be, if you die without a will, most states have something called laws of intestacy. So the state has a plan for how your estate would be distributed if you don't die with a will. Things that you own jointly with your wife are all going to go to your wife because she's a joint owner. Okay. Bank accounts, your house probably. Things that pass by a beneficiary designation, retirement funds, life insurance, they're going to go to whomever you've named as your beneficiary.
Okay, I guess I have, yeah. And that's who it is. So.
Yeah, so if there's anything else lingering around, something that you don't own jointly, something you don't have a beneficiary designation on, that's what you need a will to make sure.
Otherwise, you end up having to go to probate? Is that how that works?
A will actually is an invitation to probate, because a will has no legal validity until it's admitted into a probate court.
But then if you have one, then it's smooth. Now, if you don't have a will, do you end up in probate?
You still can, yeah.
Okay, and that can, and then it gets messy if people start contesting assets and things like that. Just, all right, it's just all these little, all right, we got to take a break, but when we come back, we have some calls coming in. It's the kind of stuff you just don't want to do. I'm sorry, but you do it, you get it done, it's in place, you have that peace of mind, and you know what? You don't have to deal with it again. Sure, you can change it if you want.
Absolutely.
But just get it going, and that's just some of what they deal with. The number is 737-7587. You know, in the past we've talked about things like reverse mortgages.
Right.
We talk about how if you have to sometimes go overboard to deal with an elderly parent and how to get them to move and go here, and what it takes if you really need a conservatorship, which is kind of, for me, the last resort, but sometimes you think about it. We can talk about all that. If you're on hold, stay where you are. We'll get to your phone calls. Lines are open. More with Barbara McGinnis, elder law attorney, right after this. Stay with us.